Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time to take the global stories that has made it to the front pages of our national dailies. And joining us this morning is Jide Johnson. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Rume. Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to all our viewers all over the world. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Happy New Year to you. Happy 2025. All right, so we'll begin with The Guardian this morning, and it leads with 2025, Nigerians long for rewards of economic reforms. So in the past 18 months, we've seen so many economic reforms, as led by the president. So the first one, obviously, the first thing that happened when he assumed office was subsidy is gone. And of course, next was the increase in electricity tariff, the hike for Band A customers. And of course, now we've seen several tax reform bills. In fact, the withholding tax obviously has taken effect from January 1, 2025. So there's so many things that the current administration is trying to do. But Nigerians are still waiting for the rewards. When are these rewards going to come? That's the question on everyone's lips. We need the dividends because we cannot just be suffering and we're not seeing anything. We're not seeing our sufferings even being alleviated in any way or form. So what's your take on this? The fact that in the past few months, there's been so many reforms, we haven't seen anything yet. And what's your take, your outlook for 2025?
Well, everything is about perspective, and since we are in a new year, I want to be an optimist and not a pessimist. I want to be full of expectation, and I want to think positively. I hope that all what the government has done in terms of reform will actually yield them the full deliverables of democracy and use the dividends from the various reforms they've done and from the various promises that have been made by the government. I hope, for example, the energy prices, particularly petroleum products, will drop drastically with the coming on board of the Warri refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery, the Dangote refinery, which were not in place as of this time last year. I hope that we see a remarkable improvement in sharp drop in the prices, and Nigerians can fully enjoy the benefits of the various reform in the petroleum sector. For the energy sector, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still waiting for individuals, and I've volunteered to be part and parcel of that process in terms of giving voices to whatever that is. It's about this electricity tariff, this discrimination I've never seen anywhere in the world, whereby government would deliver services for citizens, and some will be categorized as category A, category B, category Z. I didn't see any categorization when it comes to vote. There's no band A vote, there's no band B vote, there's no band C vote. And besides, there's no band A citizen, there's no band C citizen. And that, for me, I think is something which we should look at, and I think something which should be challenged up to the Supreme Court for that to drop, because government does not need to discriminate against. We are meant to all enjoy the deliverables of democracy. One of the basic requirements of life is electricity, and if government begins to discriminate between citizens, I don't know whether you have band A road or band C road. The time we had that type of peculiarity was where you used to have in Lekki toll gate, and both toll gate A and toll gate B, whereby if you don't pay the toll, you have to go to an access road that is, particularly Lekki toll gate, that was not fully developed. I frown at that, and I hope the government will drop this particular policy of categorizing citizens on band A, band B, band C. So with the tax reforms, you see, for me, in taxation does not bring about business growth. Taxation will generate more revenue for government. However, it will take more money away from investors. It will take more money away from the citizen. Taxation, too much taxation and regulation stifle economic growth. But the present administration have argued that, well, this is what we think that will grow the economy. They need to tax the rich. They need to do that. The question you ask is, those that have come up with these policies, what taxes have they themselves paid in the last 10 years? At least they show their own record to show that indeed, actually, the reform we are bringing about, we've been true to it ourselves. So we keep our fingers crossed concerning that. We see the revenues they generate, we see where they deploy this particular revenue. The problem of Nigeria is not about revenue generation. The problem of Nigeria is about wastages of resources. It's about accountability and transparency. It's about budgeting money for specific things and deploying these resources for the purposes for which they were budgeted.
Thank you so much for that. So there's another story here that says federal government rolls out initiatives targets food security. Of course, we hear that, there was supposed to be a import duty waiver for food items, for several things to come, but that hasn't happened. And in fact, on the Daily Trust, that's what it leads with. It says food crisis. 5 months after, federal government yet to implement duty waiver. So on one hand, they're telling us that they're rolling out initiatives to target food security. And on the other hand, what they've actually put in place 5 months ago that was said to have taken effect to ensure that, there will be more food in Nigeria, the import duty will be taken away so that more people can bring in food, it still hasn't been implemented. So I'm wondering what the initiatives you're trying to put now would yield later on if the one that was already there hasn't even taken effect at all. Your comments, please.
Yeah, it's just like the budget. It's like the budgetary projections and budgetary allocations that we have had in the past. For example, we have argued that the problem of Nigeria is not budget. The budget of Nigeria is not policy statement or policy options. Our problem is the execution of our policies. It's following through with whatever plans we have put in place. What's the business of fueling a car and then starting the engine of the car and not mobilizing the car by moving the car from one place? So it was the essence of coming up with a policy and you're not putting the policy in full activation. You will not get the result which you desire to get. So for me, I think what we need to do is to draw government attention to it. You have said this social time. You have not done what you are supposed to do. We hope that you will do this, because if you do this, it will bring a turnaround in this particular sector. Any nation that cannot feed itself is not ready for economic growth. It's not ready for self-sufficiency.
All right, so let's move over to another paper. Now, The Punch leads with subsidy gains. Labour scores governors low as allocations rise by 1.7 trillion naira. The writer here says NLC slams governors for neglecting agric infrastructure. Opposition thumbs down on Bauchi, Ogun, Bayelsa, and others. So, of course, most states, it's been said that there should be a way where the states are generating their own revenue. It shouldn't just be the fact that they have to go to Abuja, go to the center every month, get allocation, and that's about it. Why are they not trying their best to develop their states, generate revenues for themselves? And now, of course, Labour is even scoring them low as allocations rise by 1.7 trillion naira. I want to get your comments on this, please.
Yeah, this is what Labour should be doing. Throw more such light to what is happening in the state. We shouldn't throw such light alone to the federal government. We should concentrate more on the state government and the local government, which are critical, which are some levels of government that's meant to bring about meaningful development, government that are closer to the people, government that are meant to yield positive result. And in most cases, these state governments operate as emperors within the State House of Assembly under their tutelage, and the local government are mere extensions of the offices of the governor. But with the judgment of the Supreme Court from this year, the local government will be getting the allocation directly. But hopefully we should throw such light on this level of governance, not only the federal government, for them to do what they are supposed to do to bring about meaningful development. Look at states that are blessed with arable land. Why can't they concentrate and invest more in agriculture, and so that they can provide food sufficiency for their state, and then provide food for local consumption and food for export into foreign countries in order for them to earn foreign exchange. foreign exchange earning. So these are the areas in which we should look at. And these are the areas in which labor should focus on, not only on their salaries and their wages and other welfare packages. They should also focus on good governance.
I think focusing on good governance is just, the right word. It shouldn't just be about going to get allocations or, sitting down and just opening your hand and say, give me whatever. It should be you trying to develop each state. We have so many states that are blessed with, fertile lands. Why are we not, trying as much as possible to ensure that we're getting the best out of it? Anyways, let's move over to another paper. Now, this on the Business NG leads with UTIDE, high transport fares persist despite fuel price reduction. So we've seen fuel price reduction. I think the NNPCL had reduced it to about 935 naira or so, 899 naira, but other stations are selling for about 935 naira. But yet, we've not seen it reflect, in our daily lives. It's just on paper. People are still, having to pay so much for transportation. What is your take on this, and how do you think the government needs to ensure that it trickles down? Because it's the common man that is being affected here. Oh, I think we just lost Mr. Jide's audio. Anyways, I was just asking about the high transportation fares that persist despite fuel price reduction. Another paper on the Vanguard, we have the federal government's deficit spending rises by 28% to 12.1 trillion naira. The writer here says defies 54% increase in revenue due to federation account, overshoots 2024 targets by 31%. That's a whooping 31%. And then still on the Vanguard, it says facts figures betray federal government's performance claims, and that's according to Obi. So Peter Obi obviously has spoken about that, and APC to Obi said you left no significant achievements in Anambra State. So of course they've come back at him. Yes, sir, can you hear me? Technology, this is what we have to deal with sometimes. Anyways, we've run out of time, so this is how much we can take on of the press right now.
Yeah.
We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be discussing our first hot topic, so please stay with us.